Mildred lived happily in a small town with her parents. Her father was a palm wine tapper, while her mother was a trader at the village markets. Despite their humble lifestyle, the family was happy and content until one fateful day. A piece of terrible news hit Mildred's mother at the markets. Her loving husband had fallen from a palm tree and had broken his back. This devastating news shook the family for weeks before Tony succumbed to the injury of his fall. Mildred's mother was inconsolable. She mourned the death of her husband like any widow would, and Mildred, traumatized by the loss of her father, cried herself to sleep at night. Following the 7-day mourning period, Tony's family, in accordance with their cultural tradition, insisted that his older brother married a widow. This custom is observed when a wife is left without a son. Charles couldn't hide his joy. This was the opportunity he has been longing for. He'd always loved Mary, but she remained adamant, choosing his younger brother, Tony. Now fate seemed to be offering a twist. Devastated by her husband's death, Mary reluctantly accepted Charles' proposal. Their marriage was swift, and Charles found himself moving into Tony's house, a bitter pill to swallow. Charles had harbored a deep resentment towards Tony since childhood. Tony was a golden boy, always showered with affection. No matter what Charles achieved, Tony seemed to effortlessly outshine him, leaving Charles in his shadow, his heart festering with envy. This situation promised a chance to finally step out of Tony's shadow. But would it truly bring him happiness? He looked at Mildred, a carbon replica of his late younger brother.
She has to leave. I can't bear to keep seeing this face or that child's face.
He came up with a difficult plan. He told Mary that her daughter needed to get married soon to increase her chances of bearing son. Mary shakes her head.
But she's still in school now. Let her finish her education.
Charles, determined to get Mildred out of the house, responds.
Oh, you know, if a girl gets too educated, it might scare off potential suitors. No one wants to marry a woman who seems too smart. Oh. Besides, if she continues, who will pay for her schooling? Or did my brother make any provisions for that? On top of that, a woman's role is to be in the kitchen and take care of her family, which I believe you've trained her for. At least she can read and write, unlike most of her friends.
Mary shook her head in disbelief, about to speak when Charles interrupted.
It's best for her to get married now before it's too late. Besides, who knows? With all those books in her head, she might be approaching menopause soon. Don't worry about finding suitors. I know a couple of men who would be happy to marry her.
Mildred, with tears in her eyes, listened to her mother talk about her getting married.
No, Mama, I can't get married yet. You know, Papa wanted me to become an engineer. I want to bring development to our town just like he dreamed. How can I achieve Papa's dream if I'm married off?
Her mother's voice, thick with emotion, pulled her tearful daughter into a hug.
In our part of the world, traditionally, a woman's education ends when she starts a family. Your father was a dreamer with some far-fetched aspiration. Millie, now that he's gone, we need to be practical. Marrying and having sons will give you security. That way, if life throws you a curveball like mine, you won't be forced to marry someone you don't want.
Mildred couldn't believe her ears when she heard her mother's words. Her mother seemed to have lost all hope, drifting through life like a walking corpse. The spark that once lit her eyes were gone, replaced by a deep, pervasive sadness. Broken. Mildred stayed up all night, tears streaming down her face, desperately waiting for a change. The next day, as Mildred returned from the stream, she was surprised to see a group of unfamiliar faces gathered at her father's house. Her mother, with urgency, rushed her inside to change into something nicer. Her mother whispered,
Hurry, they're your in-laws, they've come to see you.
Mildred surveyed the strangers, her gaze lingering on each face, wondering which one might be her intended suitor. A middle-aged man sat among them, a smile directed at her. Before she could react, her uncle Charles voiced,
Yes, that's your husband, Mildred. Go and greet him properly.
Tears welled in Mildred's eyes as she walked towards the man, knelt and bowed her head in respect. The in-law exchanged knowing smiles as Charles continued, his voice blasting with pride.
I told you, she is well trained and can read and write. She will give you brilliant children.
Mildred burst through the door, her mother trailing close behind.
Mama, why? Can't you see how old he is? Older than Papa, even older than you. Why would you make me marry someone like that?
She cried, her voice thick with sobs. Her mother's face remained blank.
Age doesn't matter, Mildred. As long as a man can fulfill his marital duties, that's all that counts. Now get yourself ready. You are leaving with them tonight.
Exhausted Mildred arrived at her new family home under the clock of night. She assistantly approached her husband.
Would it be alright to wait a bit before we begin our corporate duty?
Her husband's brow furrowed.
Why? My family is eager for grandchildren. They are hoping for some news before the year ends.
Mildred offered a small apology.
I'm so sorry. But my monthly cycle just started this morning. It lasts for a week and you know it's not ideal to be intimate during that time.
Her husband's expression softened.
Oh, of course. I understand. Perhaps now we can wait.
As the day unfolds, Mildred makes a shocking realization. Her husband, despite being in his late 40s, had never been married. The truth dawned on her by the stream when a group of maidens mocked her. They whisper among themselves, their voice laced with ridicule.
She's the bride of Johnny, the most rejected bachelor in town.
Their laughter echoes, harsh and mocking. One of the girls, unable to contain her curiosity, blurts out a question.
Oh, why is Johnny always rejected?
Another chimes in, a voice laced with pity.
Haven't you heard? His family is considered outcast. And poor Johnny, well, he suffers from bouts of madness every full moon. He roams the streets naked. Anyone who marries into the family will be expected to have children who must continue the tradition, because the family serve as an appeasement for the gods whenever they are angered. Who would willingly bear children destined to go mad every full moon?
Their voice crackling with tension, balancing their water pots on their heads, they hurried away, leaving Mildred behind. Mildred's heart sank. She pondered on the woman's cryptic words, a newfound truth settling heavily in her guts. Determined, she decided to confront her husband with this unsettling revelation. Driven by anger, Isaac struck Mildred across the face.
Never ask me those idiotic questions again, you brat. My family paid a good sum of money for you. You are not in property here.
In a violent rage, he forced himself upon her. Then, stark naked, they stormed out of the house and into the night. Heartbroken, devastated and alone, Mildred decided to seek solace at the stream where she often bathed. Sitting by the river, tears streamed down her face as she sank into her sorrow. Suddenly, a shimmer caught her eyes, accompanied by a hauntingly beautiful song. Mildred moved closer to the glistering water. In that instant, a violent typhoon erupted, its fury pulling her into the current. She fought desperately to swim against the current, but the raging water was too powerful. Realizing she couldn't fight it any longer, Mildred resigned herself to fate.
This is better. They're being trapped in a loveless marriage.
As darkness began to consume her, a distant light flickered in the depths, glowing closer. It danced through the water, an energizing beacon. With renewed hope, Mildred decided to follow the light. Deeper and deeper she sank until she found herself in a magnificent underwater city, illuminated by a dazzling display of lights. Mildred, convinced she must be dreaming, squeezed her eyes shut. She heard voices swirling around her. One voice boomed.
She must be the one. The prophesied Saviour.
Another argued.
But how can she be? She's strange, with no fins but four odd tentacles.
A whisper followed.
No, she's human.
A chorus of voices erupted.
What's a human?
Land-dwelling creatures who thrive on sunlight.
Another explained.
What's sunlight?
A small voice piped up before a calming voice spoke.
Don't you know crowding on guests can be detrimental to its survival?
At that moment, startled by the voice, Mildred flung open her eyes and took in her surrounding. Glowing eyes from the coral reefs surrounded her. A scream tore through the water as Mildred jumped out of the coral fields. Disoriented, she heard a voice ask,
Don't be afraid. How did you get here?
A fantastical scene unfolded before her. Sea creatures of all kinds, mermaids, mermen, schools of shimmering fish, even a couple of large sharks and octopuses surrounded her. Mildred stammered.
Oh my God. Are you real? Or did I hit my head?
A rumble echoed from the depths.
No, she can't talk.
Panic surged through Mildred. She tried to run, but her legs sank into the soft sand. An octopus with long tentacles swiftly scooped her up. Suddenly the scene turned. Fear flickered across the faces of the sea creatures. Without a word, they darted into the safety of their hidden caves. Mildred, still reeling from the bizarre experience, found herself entangled in the grasp of an octopus tentacle. It was carrying her deeper into the underwater cave. Fear gnawed at her.
What's happening? Why am I here? How can I even understand you?
The octopus paused, its hold loosened slightly. In a surprisingly articulated voice, it spoke.
Are you human?
Mildred could only manage a shaky nod.
You are the one we've awaited for centuries. In desire. Don't fret. Once the giant killerfish passes, I will take you to our queen. She's been expecting this day for generations. She will answer all your questions.
Queen Sedna, ruler of the underwater city, was a majestic being, half octopus, half human, with gills that adored her head like ears. She muttered a low throated sound.
I never thought I'd live to see this day. The day the professor would come true.
Queen Sedna pulled Mildred into a gentle, inky embrace.
What's your name, my dear?
Mildred gasped, her voice bubbling underwater.
Mildred. Mildred, the underwater savior, is here to save us.
A sergeant screamed in excitement, with Mildred confused.
Saviour, how can I breathe without drowning? Why am I here?
Queen Sedna's glazed eyes, once vibrant, held a faint glimmer of hope.
You can breathe because you were chosen. You are the prophesied Messiah, the one who ended the reign of the giant killer fish. We grew up on tales of your arrival. You were our hope whenever we are paralyzed by their fearsome attacks. You've arrived. Please don't abandon us.
Mildred scanned the vast coral bed. A myriad of sea creatures watched her, especially those with human-like appearance. Their eyes reflected worry. With a sigh, she considered.
All right. Tell me what needs doing. And what's this giant killerfish you mentioned?
A wave of excitement ripped through the crowd as Mildred accepted the challenge.
Silence!
The queen commanded before continuing.
For years, a monstrous killerfish has terrorized us. Whenever it emerges, it paralyzes us all. Any creature caught outside during this rampage vanishes never to be seen again. To make matters worse, it releases smaller creatures.
A piercing shriek interrupted her. Every creature, including the queen, crumbled to the ground unconscious. Mildred heard the strange sound too. Rushing out to investigate, she saw nothing. Scanning the deep blue water, she became entangled in a hidden fish net. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't break free. The net began to pull her slowly. Panic surged through her.
Please don't hurt me.
Mildred cried out. The fishermen were astonished to find a human tangled in their net.
How did you get there? Are you a mermaid?
Taking in her surroundings, Mildred realized she was inside a submarine filled with scientists.
No, I'm not a mermaid. I was swept by a wave while I was at the river.
We've got a human.
One of them exclaimed in shock. A woman seeming the leader arrived. Mildred spoke up quickly.
The submarine's producing a paralyzing sound that's harming the aquatic creatures.
Oh dear, we meant no harm. We're simply studying the coral reefs and the wildlife here. But how can you survive in this harsh environment? The pressure should be lethal to any human.
I don't know. I was about to find out from my new aquatic friends, but the sound startled us. Can we check the sonar control and run a calibration program? That way we can ensure it's emitting sound within the proper range. Or maybe there is damage to your venting system. Well, I don't know a thing or two about mechatronics.
Mildred, ever quick on the uptake, replied. With Mildred's ideas, they were able to diagnose and fix the problem. The scientists, impressed by Mildred's suggestion and resourcefulness, tried to persuade her to join the team.
But I have friends I need to get back to. However, I promised to visit you in the city once I'm on land.
Please do. And don't worry about finances, I owe you that. A token of gratitude for your help. Just call me or visit the school whenever you get the chance.
Mildred swam back to the coral reefs and shared the surprising revelation. Her voice boomed.
It wasn't a killerfish. It was a malfunctioning submarine. That's why you kept hearing those strange noises whenever it was near. But fear not. We fixed the engines and it won't happen again.
The creatures, overjoyed by their victory, erupted in celebration. Queen Sedna, filled with gratitude, approached Mildred and presented her with 3 seashells. These are a token of our appreciation. They have the power to grant your wishes. Simply toss the shell into any body of water and make a wish. Mildred, overwhelmed by the queen's generosity, expressed her thanks, but a question lingered in her mind.
How am I able to breathe underwater?
You possess a pure heart. No world, no universe has the power to harm or reject a pure soul. It's a fundamental law of nature. A surge of wave carried Mildred to the riverbank. She scrambled to her feet and hurried back home. Upon reaching her husband's house, she found him seated at the front with a worried mother.
Where have you been? How can a married woman just leave her home for days?
Isaac yelled. Mary, her mother, approached her.
Mildred, what happened? Please talk to me.
Mildred ignored her, walked inside and grabbed her luggage.
Whatever bright price you paid, take it back from whoever you paid it to. I am done with this first marriage.
Mildred declared. Her mother gasped.
Mildred, please, you know you are all I have left. Your uncle confessed to killing your father. Come home, let's settle this as a family.
Whatever happened wasn't your fault. But I have to fulfill Papa's dream. I'm going to the city, where an opportunity awaits me. Once I get settled, I will send for you.
You've grown up so fast. It seems like just yesterday you were a child. Follow your heart. It will guide and protect you through.
Embodied by her newfound courage, she clutched her seashells and her mother's words close. With each step towards the outskirts, a new life awaits. A life of possibilities, adventure, and new beginnings.